everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of Google Business for notaries.
Awesome.
So you want to learn how to set up a profile that really brings in the clients, right?
Yes.
We've got some great resources to help us with this. We've got excerpts here from YouTube videos by Notary2, Notary, Loan Signing System, and Big Check Energy. So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Now, I think we all know that Google Business is pretty important for just about any business these days, but especially for notaries.
Especially for notaries, yeah.
Why is that?
I think it's mainly because of the whole notary near me phenomenon.
Okay.
That's how so many people find notaries these days. Big Check Energy actually said it's the most common way.
That makes sense. You know, you need something notarized and you're like, oh, I need to find a notary near me.
Yep.
You pull out your phone and there you go. So Google is really prioritizing these local business profiles.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Like when you do a search, they're right up at the top.
So it's like free advertising, basically, right?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
At least for now. So it's a huge opportunity to get your name out there.
Yeah, you want to be the first one people see when they do that search. Okay. So before we get into all the fancy stuff like optimizing your profile, let's just start with the basics. What are the absolute essentials when you're first setting up your Google Business profile?
Well, the very first thing is just making sure you get all that basic info, right? Like your business name, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And the category, you want to make sure you select Notary Public.
Okay.
And then your location.
Okay, so location, that seems pretty straightforward, but Notary had some pretty strong feelings about this, especially for notaries who are working from home.
Yeah, they did. They were like, don't you dare list your home address.
Really?
Yeah, if you don't have a separate office, keep your home address off of there.
That's for safety reasons, right?
Exactly. You don't want people just showing up at your door.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Use the service area feature instead.
Right, so you can specify the areas where you're willing to travel to for appointments. It's much safer that way.
Okay, so we've got our name, our category, and our service area all set. What comes next?
Contact details. Gotta let people know how to reach you. So your phone number and your website, if you have one.
Okay, so for the phone number, can you just use your personal cell phone, or should you get a separate business line?
Honestly, it's kind of up to you. Using your personal line is definitely easier.
Yeah.
But having a dedicated business line can look more professional.
Uh-huh.
And, can help you keep those work-life boundaries a little bit better.
Right. Keep things separate. Notary actually recommended Google Voice.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It's free and pretty easy to set up.
Oh, that's good. I've heard of Google Voice, but how reliable is it?
It's generally pretty solid, but Notary did warn about one thing. You have to double-check your settings.
Okay.
If they're not set up right, you can miss calls or texts, and that's obviously a problem.
Yeah, you don't want to be missing out on clients because of a technical glitch.
Exactly.
All right, so double-check those Google Voice settings if you're going to use that. Now, what about a website? Do you need a fancy website to get started with Google Business?
Not at all. Actually, Google Business has this really cool feature where they give you a free website.
What's
that? Yeah, it's built right into the platform.
Yeah.
It's super basic, but it's a good way to get something up and running quickly without having to spend any money.
That's amazing. And then you can always upgrade later on if you need something more advanced.
Exactly. Notary even showed some examples of what those paid options look like.
Okay, so we've got our contact info. We maybe even have a free website. What happens next?
Verification time.
Oh, yeah. Google's going to make sure you're a legit business, right?
Yep.
I know some people get kind of nervous about this part, especially when they see the address field. Can you talk about that for a second?
Sure. So you will have to put in your mailing address so they can send you a verification code. But don't worry, they're not going to publish it. It's just for their internal use.
Okay, so your home address is still safe.
Safe and sound.
Gotcha. So we get our verification code, we put it in, and boom, we are officially a verified business on Google.
Hooray!
Awesome. So now how do we make this profile really shine? What are some of the things we can do to optimize it?
Okay, so now's when it starts to get fun.
Okay.
We want to make your profile stand out from the crowd.
Right.
So first things first, you want to make sure you're listing all of your services and be specific. Don't just say notary services.
Okay.
Tell people exactly what you offer. Do you do loan signings? Efficient services? Spell it out.
So the more details, the better.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, business hours, I'm guessing those are pretty important too.
Oh, yeah. And Notary actually had a pretty interesting tip about this. They said you should set your hours wider than you actually are available.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, think about it. Someone searching for a notary at like 2 p.m. might be free to meet at like 5. If your hours are too narrow, you could miss out on that client.
Ah, I see. So it's about maximizing your visibility.
Exactly. You don't have to actually be available 24/7.
Yeah.
But making your hours a little wider can definitely help you show up in more searches.
That's a clever strategy. All right, so we've got our services listed, our business hours are looking good. What else can we do to optimize this profile?
Well, the description is a big one. It's your chance to really make a good first impression and tell people what makes you unique.
Should you just cram it full of keywords or?
Well, no. Keyword stuffing is a big no-no. You actually want to avoid that. Google can tell when you're doing that and they don't like it.
Really?
Yeah. Just write a natural description that tells people about you and your business. What makes you different? Do you have a ton of experience? Are you super committed to customer service? Do you have a convenient location? Do you offer mobile services? Whatever makes you stand out, put that in there.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. You want to sound like a real person, not just a robot spitting out keywords.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got our description. What about photos? Are those important?
Well, photos are huge. They can really make your profile pop.
What kind of photos should you include?
Definitely a professional headshot. Make sure you're smiling, looking approachable, and dressed professionally.
Uh-huh.
If you have a nice, clean workspace, you could include a photo of that, too.
Okay.
And Notary, too. Notary also recommended including a photo of your NNA certification logo.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You want to show potential clients that you're legit.
Exactly. It builds trust.
So we've got the foundation of our Google business profile set up. We started optimizing it, but Loan Signing System mentioned this thing called SEO that plays a role in all of this. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and basically it's just a way to make your website more visible on Google.
Okay. That sounds important.
It is.
How does it all connect to Google Business, though?
Well, the better your website is optimized with keywords related to notary services, the more Google is going to understand what your business is all about.
Okay.
And that can actually boost your Google business ranking, which means more potential clients will see you.
So it's not just about having the Google business profile. It's also about making sure your website is speaking Google's language, so to speak.
That's a great way to put it.
Awesome. Okay, so that's a lot of info to digest, but I think we've covered some really good ground here in terms of setting up and optimizing your Google business profile. But what about the actual experience of being a notary? Big Check Energy shared some pretty insightful and sometimes even kind of scary stories from their own journey. What are some of the key takeaways that we can get from their real-world experiences?
Well, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was how important it is to set clear pricing and boundaries.
Yeah.
They talked about having clients try to haggle with them on price or even suggesting they just go to FedEx to get things notarized for cheaper.
Oh, wow, that's bold. How do you handle situations like that?
Well, you just got to be firm and polite. Explain the value you bring and why your services are worth what you charge.
It's about knowing your worth, right?
Exactly. And not being afraid to walk away if someone isn't willing to respect your prices.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better to lose one client than to resent all of them because you're not charging enough.
Exactly.
I'm guessing that ties into setting boundaries, too.
Oh, absolutely. Boundaries are crucial, not just for your business, but for your mental health, too.
Speaking of difficult situations, Big Check Energy shared a story about a photo assignment that just sounded really sketchy.
Oh, yeah. That one was creepy.
Yeah.
It really highlighted the importance of trusting your gut and always prioritizing your safety.
Absolutely. It's not worth putting yourself in danger for a job.
No job is worth that.
So if something feels off, it probably is.
Right. It's better to be safe than sorry. You have the right to ask questions, to decline assignments, and to just walk away if you feel uncomfortable.
It's a good reminder that as a notary, you're not just a witness to signatures, but you're also in a position of authority.
That's right.
And you need to be comfortable enforcing the rules and protecting yourself.
You got it. You really do. You have to look out for yourself.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the importance of pricing and boundaries, but what about just standing out from the crowd? There are a lot of notaries out there. How do you make your business the one that people choose?
Well, a big part of it is just building a solid reputation, right? It's about more than just having a nice Google business profile. It's about consistently providing great service, being reliable, and really building those relationships with your clients.
Yeah, Big Check Energy actually talked about this a lot. They said it's not just about being nice, it's about genuinely serving your community, being a true professional.
Right. And they even shared a story about how they sometimes actually turn down appointments if they're feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which might seem counterintuitive, but it makes sense. If you're stressed and overbooked all the time, the quality of your work is going to suffer.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to give your clients your best.
Exactly. And that can hurt your reputation in the long run.
So it's about finding that balance, right? Being accessible to clients, but also setting realistic limits so you don't burn yourself out.
Exactly. You want to build a business that's sustainable, something that allows you to thrive both personally and professionally.
Yeah, for sure. Now, remember how we were talking about SEO earlier? I want to dig into that a little bit more.
Okay.
Loan signing system really emphasized how important that is.
Yeah, it's crucial for getting found online.
I think SEO can sound kind of intimidating to some people.
Yeah.
Can you break it down for us in simple terms?
Yeah, totally. Think of SEO as like a way to speak Google's language, right?
Okay.
You want to make your website more attractive to Google so it shows up higher in the search results.
So the better Google understands your website, the more likely people are to find you.
Exactly.
What are some of the key things to keep in mind when it comes to SEO?
Well, one of the most important things is to use relevant keywords throughout your website content. So keywords are basically the terms that people are going to type into Google when they're searching for a notary.
Like notary public or loan signing agent?
Exactly. Stuff like that. You want to make sure those words are on your website.
So sprinkle those keywords in, but I'm guessing there's a right way and a wrong way to do that.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Don't just cram as many keywords as you can onto your website.
Okay.
That's called keyword stuffing, and Google actually hates that.
Yeah.
It looks spammy and unnatural.
So they might actually penalize you for that.
They might, yeah. Just focus on writing naturally and using keywords where they make sense.
So quality over quantity when it comes to keywords.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Another biggie is backlinks.
Backlinks?
Yeah, they're basically links from other websites that point back to yours. Google sees those as a vote of confidence.
Oh, so the more backlinks you have, the more credible your website looks to Google.
Exactly.
So how do you get other websites to link back to yours?
Well, there are a few different ways. You can try guest blogging on other relevant websites, participating in industry forums, getting listed in online directories.
Sounds like networking is important here, too.
Oh, for sure. The more connections you make, the more opportunities you'll have to build those backlinks.
Okay, cool. So it's not just about the website itself. It's also about the relationships you build online.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And remember, building a strong online presence takes time. You're not going to see results overnight. Just keep creating great content, keep optimizing your website, keep building those relationships, and eventually you'll start to see your rankings improve.
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
All right. Let's switch gears back to the Google Business Profile for a minute. We talked about photos earlier and how important they are. Can you give us some specific examples of what kinds of photos tend to work well?
Sure. A professional headshot is an absolute must. You want to look approachable, trustworthy, and like you know what you're doing. So make sure you're smiling, dressed professionally. You know the whole 9 yards.
Okay. A photo of your workspace could be good, too, especially if you have a dedicated office.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have a nice, clean, organized workspace, definitely show it off. It makes your profile look more professional and inviting.
And don't forget about your NNA certification logo. Notary, too. Notary mentioned that.
Right. Include that, too. It adds another layer of credibility to your profile.
You know, it's interesting how all of this, from the SEO stuff to the photos to the stories from Big Check Energy, it all ties back to this idea of creating a strong brand identity.
Yeah, you're totally right. Your Google Business Profile is basically an extension of your brand. It's how you present yourself to the world online.
It's like your digital storefront.
Exactly.
You want it to be welcoming, informative, and visually appealing. And remember, a well-maintained Google Business Profile isn't just about attracting new clients. It's about staying top of mind with your existing clients, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How so?
Well, it's easy for them to find your contact info, leave reviews, see any updates you've made to your services. It helps you nurture those relationships.
So it's a good way to build loyalty and keep people coming back.
Exactly.
Awesome. And speaking of client interactions, Big Check Energy had some really valuable insights about managing expectations and dealing with some of those challenging situations that can come up.
Oh, yeah. They've definitely seen it all.
So what were some of the things that stood out to you from their stories?
Well, one thing they emphasized was the importance of clear communication.
Yeah.
Make sure you're outlining the scope of your services up front. You're explaining your fees clearly. You're making sure the client knows exactly what to expect.
That makes a lot of sense. It's all about setting those expectations from the beginning to avoid any misunderstandings later on.
Exactly. And they also talked about the importance of being assertive when necessary.
Oh, yeah.
As a notary, you're in a position of authority, and sometimes you have to be firm in enforcing the rules. You can't let clients bully you or try to get you to do something that's not allowed.
It's about knowing your rights and responsibilities. Big Check Energy actually had to do that with a client who got really upset because they wouldn't notarize a document that wasn't properly filled out.
Oh, yeah, I remember that story. It was intense. But they handled it perfectly. They stayed calm, professional, and they stood their ground.
It sounds like they have a lot of experience dealing with those kinds of situations.
You definitely do. They've learned a lot over the years.
It's a good reminder that as a notary, you're not just stamping papers, you're also a guardian of legality and integrity.
That's a great way to put it. You have an important role to play.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about Google business profiles, SEO, building a strong reputation, dealing with challenging client interactions. It's clear that being a successful notary takes more than just knowing how to stamp a document.
It really does. You need business skills, people skills, a strong sense of ethics. It's a lot more than people realize.
It really does. And I think Big Check Energy's stories really show how important emotional intelligence is for notaries.
Yeah, definitely.
You're working with people from all walks of life, and they're often in situations that are kind of stressful or emotional. You really need to have that empathy and awareness to handle those situations well.
It's so true. Being able to read people and understand what they need and respond in a compassionate and professional way, it's huge.
It can really make a difference. So thinking back to everything we've talked about in this deep dive, setting up your Google business profile, SEO, those real-world notary stories, it's clear that this is a pretty complex profession.
It really is. And it's always changing, too, with technology and everything.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of things.
But for someone who loves learning and enjoys working with people, it can be a really rewarding career.
For sure. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Now that you have all these tools and strategies, what's your biggest goal for your notary business? What are you hoping to achieve?
Are you trying to build a full-time business? Maybe focus on a specific niche, like loan signings? Or are you just looking for some flexible side work to supplement your income?
Whatever your vision is, take what we've discussed today and use it to make that vision a reality. This deep dive is over, but your journey as a notary is just beginning. Good luck out there.